Blessed be my witches, my spiritualists, and welcome to another episode of Witch Please. It is I, Odin the Seer, and today I want to make wands. The wonderful thing about this is that you use doweling, and you can find doweling in mahogany, in cherry wood, in cedar, and you name it. You can get oak, you can get it in anything. Here's an example of a wand that I made for my son. And I love it, and he loves his little wand as well, and he uses it and plays with it all the time, so it's really quite cute. So I'm going to be showing you how to do this, but on a larger scale for me. And this is oak doweling. So oak is great for magic and longevity. It's great for power, healing, strength, vigor. So it's a really good base to have. It's a sacred tree. It's just a really good base to have for your magic. It's also good for mastery. So the other things that you're going to need here is I have some chakra stones. And I will be placing the chakra stones on this as well. This is so easy to do, and it's really a fun, witchy DIY. Now I have cut this doweling to be from just a little beneath my elbow to the tip of my finger. Okay, now the reason why I cut it a little bit beneath is because I'm going to be adhesing crystals to both ends. So I wanted to have a little bit more space for this, but traditionally it went from your elbow to the tip of your finger. So this is going to be around that size after I put in my crystals. Now you can put symbols on here, you can put Reiki symbols, Veves on it. Veve is a little intricate, might get a little harder, but you could if you wanted to. You can put runes on it. Really, the sky is the limit. Now this is a basic chakra wand that I'm going to be doing. So it's just under 4 inches. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, so I marked off both areas in where I'm going to stop binding, because I'm going to be binding these 2 areas here. So this right here in the middle is what I have to work with. So what I do now is I just start to freehand where I'm going to be burning. Now remember, I need to leave space for 7. So now that I've done this, I am just going to have a general idea of where I'm going to be burning. So I have my burning tool here, and I'm just going to start to burn this, just making divots to put my crystals. So now as you can see, I'm just burning little divots into it. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to burn my 7, and I will be right back showing you the next step to creating this magical wand. You can see that I actually didn't go with where I had placed them, but I was able, where I placed the pencil markings, but I was able to get 7 in the manner that I like. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take your eraser, and we are just going to erase. You may be able to see where you have marked it, because there's going to be marks in the wood itself, but don't worry about that, okay? You're still going to be able to kind of notice it, but honestly, people, if you want it to be completely flush, then just go over with some fine sandpaper, and that should be fine. So I have turned off my burning tool, and I am going to use dark stain here. Okay, so I should probably be putting 2 gloves on, but I can't find where my other glove is, so we're just going to wing it, my witches. So we're just going to dip this cloth in some stain, and we're just going to run it over the doweling. Now what I like about stain is you can get stain in so many different colors. And if you want it to be darker, you just go and you put a lot of stain on it and you let it seep into the wood. Now you can see how this is already changing up the look of your to-be wand. And another good thing about it is, and this is the reason why we burn first. Well, first of all, we don't want to be burning the stain. And second of all, I find that once you do that, when you start to put your stain on, it darkens where you have burnt. I am just going to continually go over this until I get to about the color that I am looking for. I am a thrifty and hippie witch, and I like to know that if I am going to buy something, I can make it myself. That's a very important aspect for me to stick to. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to let this dry. Now, at least half an hour. An hour is good, longer, better. It's fine. But you want this to dry. This is a very quick drying stain, so it dries rather rapidly. However, if you're soaking the bad boy in that because you want it to be really dark and true to color, it's going to take longer. But I only did a couple of go-overs with this, and I am going to be varnishing it later. So that's another process that brings that glossiness to it. Alright, my witches, my spiritualists, we are going to let this dry, and I will see you in a moment. So what we're going to do now is we are going to adhese our crystals. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to find which one you want to be the top. So I want this to be the top. So I am going to put my first crystals here. So what we're going to do is I have some quartz crystal here. And I'm just going to put this on here, and now you can get shards. But unfortunately I don't have any, and I'm sending little pieces of crystal all over my house. You can get all the shards. I have some shards here. Sometimes I like them to be a little bit smaller, and I really like to work it through, okay? So I have here some wood glue. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my chopstick here, and I'm going to take some of the wood glue, and I'm going to place it directly into where I'm going to be doing the crystals, okay? And then I'm going to start placing my crystals directly into this little section here with the wood glue. You can fit them in all perfectly if you want to. Really, the sky is the limit. The main thing here is you just want these crystals to stay where they were intended. Now I am going to add more, and I want to build up on these energies. There is really quite a bit of crystals on there. Now I am going to be varnishing this, okay? So this is a delicate wand, but a powerful wand nonetheless. I am going to put these crystal shards into, all the crystal shards, into some of my magical botanicals to add power to them. Quartz crystal is good for the highest self, understanding, divine knowledge, bringing that in. It allows for you to be able, the spirit self, to be able to be more present in this reality. Now, if you can't find quartz, which is the easiest to find, but if you don't want to use quartz, there are other crystals that you can use for the higher self as well. You just have to do a good Google search for it, and you will be able to use those as well. Amethyst is great for the third eye, for anything to do with intuition, for bringing in the spirit self. I'm just breaking up everything here. Okay, so we're going to add our glue in here. Really, the reason why we made the divots is because we want to be able to really get those crystals stuck to a substantial amount of glue. Now, the wonderful thing about this wood glue is that it dries clear. So you can't even see that it's there. And what I also like is that you can move this around a little bit. Once you have the glue on it, you can move it to an extent and shape it in the way that you want it to be. So as you can see, I'm shaping this up a little bit. Boom. Powerful. So let's move on to our next one here, and we are going to be using Lapis Lazuli. Now, Lapis Lazuli is a great one for communication, for throat chakra, for opening and actually commanding power. The greater voice is making manifest what you want. Your words truly do have power. So when you bring in Lapis Lazuli, it one, allows you to speak your truth. Two, it assists with communication. Three, it's almost a filter for you making manifest things that you don't want in this reality. And it allows you to be able to communicate your desires and your goals effectively. If you have a wood table, don't do this hammering the crystals if you need to do that on the wood table, because you will make little divots in your table. I have divots all over here from doing this on my table in the past, okay? So put it on a stone here. There we go, perfect. Okay, so now we are going to be working on the Lapis Lazuli. And there you have it. Your Lapis Lazuli section. Rose quartz is anything to do with the heart chakra, with love, with connection, with communicating from the heart. It almost looks like quartz crystal, with just a little pinkish hue to it. Perfect. I think that's wonderful. And you're going to get some that are going to want to fall off. The main thing here is building up around them so that it has support. So as the other ones start to dry, it's going to hold that larger one in place, the one that wants to fall off. And there you are. We have our rose quartz portion. I'm going to have to try and set this a little bit better. So now we're going to move on to our next portion, and that is citrine. Now, citrine is wonderful for the solar plexus, getting things going, getting movement going. That one was easy peasy. It's for making manifest, for creating, for moving forward. It really has to do with this reality, trying to find your way in this world. Again, it's a very powerful one for manifestation, for bringing and moving forward, for commanding and staying on top of your external environment. We are almost done, my witches. So I've been getting a little overzealous here, and I did not adhere my quartz, rose quartz, as good as I should have. So it fell off, but push through, my witches. Just push it through. I'm going to adhese that again. So the next one we're going to be using is Agate. Now, I want to make it clear here that I have used these wands for magical purposes. I have used them for Reiki healing, what have you. Because this is a chakra wand, it can be used for a multitude of different purposes. The sky is the limit. And because you're doing this process, what also is great about this is that you can make your wand for whatever your desired purpose is. Truly. The craft is an art, my witches. And the last one we're going to be using is Smoky Quartz. Now, you can use a hematite for this if you would like, but I like to use the Smoky Quartz. I want to have a Smoky Quartz in opposition of the Clear Quartz, right? The spirit and the soul are one. So if I'm going to be using a Clear Quartz to represent the spirit, the highest self, I want to use a Smoky Quartz to represent the deepest self, acknowledging that we are one. You know, taking the prompts from the highest self into the deepest self to be able to facilitate a better understanding of all planes of existence. So now we are just going to move on to adding our Smoky Quartz. Just placing those right in there. Now this is going to take a while. I'm going to be leaving this like this overnight. Coming back to make sure that the crystals haven't shifted every 10 or 15 minutes for the next hour or so. And then I'm going to let it set overnight. And then we will be back to put the varnish on it. I am now going to go out to the garden to where my botanicals are, and I'm going to be placing these crystal shards in my garden. I will see you in a moment, my witches. Guten Morgen, meine Damen und Herren. Willkommen zu Witch Please. Es ist mir, Odin the Seer. Und heute... Just kidding. Good morning, Witch Please family members. It's I, Odin the Seer. So, it is first thing in the morning, and I am here with my cup of joe, getting ready to do the next part to our wand here. Now, we have given it hours to dry, and we touched it, make sure there's no little pieces fleeking off, and it's all perfect. Now, Loki is going to dry, he's going to kill me because I am using one of his paintbrushes. But I'll buy him new ones. It's okay. I'll do it today. So, what we're going to do is we are going to gloss this, and we are going to adhese our crystal. I got my Moldavite here, and I got my glue. Perfect. This is ready to go. So what we're going to do now is we are just going to open up our high gloss varnish here, because I want to have the high gloss on this, okay? I want it to be really shiny and really pretty. So what we're going to do now is we are going to first adhese our crystal. So the first thing I do is I take my pieces of Moldavite. So I just want little pieces of Moldavite in here. And it doesn't have to be a lot. And I'm just going to drop 2 to 3 little shards in here. Now I put the Moldavite in just to add power to this. Moldavite amplifies anything. So I really want to do that, add that amplification power in there. Now I'm just going to take my wood glue, and we are going to stick that into our wand. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to take our varnish, high gloss sticky stuff. Oh yeah, that's the bee's knees. And we are going to just start varnishing even over the crystals. One, it's going to make the crystals adhere a little bit better so that you can touch them a little bit more without having them all fall apart in your hand. Another thing it's going to do is any crystals that aren't strongly adhesed, it will take those off. So you don't have to worry about it falling off. Now I am not going directly to the end of the wand here, okay? I am just doing the part that's going to be visible because I will be binding this. And you really want to get into where those crystals are, okay? You want it to be, oh, this is so beautiful. And this is clear semi-gloss, so we're not adding any color to this other than the staining. And we're allowing the natural colors of the crystals to come through. Alright, my witches, so as you can see, it is quite shiny now, and I've done it to where I'm going to be placing my bindings. Now I'm just going to place this on the edge of my cauldron like this, close this bad boy up, and I will be back after a couple of hours of letting this sit and dry. I'm going to leave this for about 3 or 4 hours, check it, see if it's dried properly. Auf Wiedersehen! We are back, and it is the next day, and it is time to complete our wands. First thing we're going to be doing is we are going to be picking our pieces of Moldavite shards. Now again, this is completely up to you. If you want to put Moldavite shards in, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I like to place Moldavite at the tips, just because I want to amplify that power coming in and the power going out. And I'm just going to drop them in the bottom, and I am going to take my quartz crystal, and we are going to place that into the tip of our wand. you can wait for this to dry, or because now this is all dried, you can just really get to work binding this. Now you're going to have to be careful to ensure that you keep your crystal balanced and pointing in the correct way, but binding this is really easy. You can put glue on this, that is perfectly fine, or you can bind it the way that I do. I don't really like to knot it. And a lot of knots represent binding of something, right? And I don't want the energies to be bound into this wand. I want them to be able to receive and release with ease. I go down the wand like this. So I have a piece like this, and then I just start to bind. I make sure that I center the crystal. So now you can see that I have this piece here, and I am now binding my wand like this. Okay? And if there's holes in it, you just want to push it up and continue on binding. Now this is a natural material that I'm using. So now that I've reached the point that I want, what I do is I cut, and then I just release and open up. Now this is the same way that we did it when we made the smudging wands, okay? And I release and I feed this through again. So then I tighten that one and I move the next loop and I feed it through. And basically you're just going to be opening and feeding through. And I'm going to stop right there. Okay? So now you want to make sure that you have them all in the correct place again. Right? And then you're just going to slowly start tightening by turning it in the correct way that it's going, not against or opening, but tightening all of the pieces of material. Then you pull and tighten. Pull and tighten. Pull and tighten. You just take your scissors, get this little piece off, push it in between the pieces of cord, and you have your bound wand. So we are going to do this again on this part. So you leave a little space here, okay? Then you start going around the crystal, building up until it is flush with the wood, and then you just continue to bind. This one is a little easier because I don't have to secure the crystal. It is already secured where I want it to be. So what I like about this is that you can move it as necessary to be able to get the correct tension in the cord that you are using. See, so this cord here, it's not tight in an area that I want it to be, so I'm just able to go back a little bit, and then again, and boom. Then bing, bang, boom, it is as tight as I want it to be. So now we're going to cut our piece again, and we are going to start to thread through. So we open the hoop like this, thread it through. Open the next hoop, thread it through. And there you have it. Your personalized wand made with the crystals, etched in with any symbols that you choose to have in it. And it's very powerful. Now, this wand is created, but it is not empowered as of yet. So, we are going to be doing another video showing you how to charge and empower your wand. But you've probably been watching enough of this video now, so we are going to leave it at that, my witches, my spiritualist. I hope you enjoyed this episode on how to create your own wand. If you have not pressed subscribe, you know you need to press subscribe, join the Witch Please family, and do not miss out on a thing. You can follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, as well as Facebook. You can always send me a personal email at witchpleaseofficial@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below. Don't forget to press that bell icon so you're notified when a new video comes up, because you know you don't want to miss a thing. I said it before, my witches, and I will say it again. It is a pleasure to have you in my world. It is an honor to have you in my magic. And you are always in my heart. I will see you again on another episode of Witch Please. I love you, boo-boos. Bye-bye.